Fight week is here and UFC 285 is this Saturday. Mark and I are going to go over our picks and predictions for the main card. But if you're brand new here, make sure to subscribe as we have brand new videos every single week. So Mark, let's get into it. We have Jon Jones making his heavyweight debut against Ciryl Gane for the vacant heavyweight title. What's your prediction for this fight and why?
I'm actually going to go for Ciryl Gane here, Dwain, because I think that Cyryl's been around, not for a long time, but he's been consistent. Jones with the extended layoff. I think we're going to see Father Time has been tapping Jon Jones on the shoulder, and we're going to see not the same fighter as we once remember.
Yeah, it's a real tricky one for Jones. Like, he's had, 3 years out, like you said, and it's really difficult for fighters to come back after these long periods of time and fight how they once were, especially when he's at such a different weight. But I am actually going to pick Jon Jones. I can't pick against him, not yet. I feel like he's just proved he's too good to me. Every time he's ever fought, I've always picked against him. I've always wanted him to lose. I'm not, but I just think he's too good. Do you think that Jon Jones will be able to manage jumping up to heavyweight? How do you think he'll fare with extra weight on himself and his opponent?
Well, he has packed on a lot of muscle. It's not as if, he just about made it into the heavyweight weight limit and then that's it. So he's going to be an extremely light heavyweight. How much has he gained now? About 40 pounds or something like that. So he's coming in quite heavy. I mean, if I'm remembering right, Ciryl Gane doesn't come in at the heavyweight limit himself either, usually. I'm quite sure. So it might be more evenly matched up than what we think. It's just obviously fighting at that weight, I guess. And it's a 5-round fight if we make it that far. And again, I'm not discrediting Jon Jones. I just think with the layoff and, he is human. I think maybe we're going to see an aged Jon Jones. But again, I'm not trying to actively discredit him. It's just a fact of life, isn't it? It's like when you watch your favorite fighter fighting a little bit past the prime, and if they get finished, you think, But that poses another question, though, Dwain. If Jon Jones gets finished, do you think we're going to see a sea of people commenting and ranting and raving about, that's it, he's done, he shouldn't have done it, he's completely finished, career over, all that? You're like, what, in his first loss?
Yeah. Well, he has actually had another loss.
Don't start.
Technically, it's a loss. But anyway, I think a lot of people will be jumping on Jon Jones. Oh, he's a fraud, he's a fake. But I think people forget how good Jon Jones is. I know you're saying he's only human, but is he? He seems like an MMA god. He really does. He is at such a high level. He's got decent wrestling, decent striking. He is a very well-rounded fighter. I am curious to see how he's going to move up and what he's going to be like as a fighter, because Ciryl Gane's not the best grappler. Far from it. And don't forget, Jon Jones has already gone against one of the best heavyweights ever in Daniel Cormier and beat him twice, though one was technically a no contest. But he managed to get him down. He out-wrestled him. And I think if he gets hold of Ciryl Gane, it's going to be really, really tough for him. And then we have Valentina Shevchenko versus Alexa Grasso. Mark, what's your prediction for this fight and why?
It's so hard not to pick Valentina, isn't it? It's just like what the worrying thing about this is, Dwain, is Valentina's my pick, obviously. But I'm already looking past going, Erin Blanchfield could be a good matchup for her. I'm already looking past this fight and we haven't even got through it yet. And Erin's just come off a fight last weekend. So it's a strange world because you feel like she's just getting fed again. Valentina, it's another reason for Joe to call her an assassin for about 50 minutes straight. Maybe another highlight reel finish or just a domination, get a favorite, the crucifix, and just smash and keep going and keep going. But do you never feel like, Dwain, that we almost get teased this Valentina versus Amanda 3 and then it just gets ripped away straight away?
Well, that was going to be a rumored fight, wasn't it? Well, it was rumored that Nunes was going to be on this card as well. And I was so annoyed. I thought, what if Nunes is on it and you've got Valentina? Put them on together. But that's not come to fruition. But you're 100% right. Whenever I'm watching a Valentina fight, I'm always thinking, who's she going to fight next? Is Zhang Weili going to move up? Is she going to fight Erin Blanchfield? Is she going to move up and fight Nunes? They're the 3 fights that everyone's interested in. And I think that's a good reason, because Alexa Grasso probably has nothing for her. And I'm going to pick Valentina as well. I think it's the obvious
I was going to
choice.
say, just to be clear, after all that explanation there, Dwain, who's your pick there? Is it Valentina?
Yes, it's Valentina. But I will bet against her. You always have to bet against Valentina. Put a couple of
Oh
quid
yeah,
on.
my heart says Valentina 100%. My heart always says Nunes, but my wallet always says different. Because when it comes in, you never know.
Yeah, you do never know. But in all honesty, I don't feel like there's too much to even talk about in this fight because it's too obvious, isn't it? Valentina's too well-rounded, too skilled. She's probably the best female fighter on the planet. And then we have my personal favorite fight of the card, Shavkat Rakhmonov versus Geoff Neal. Mark, what's your prediction for this fight and why?
I will say, before we get into that I'm glad that Shavkat Rakhmonov is now getting the recognition he deserves. For not just for being undefeated, but for, he brings it every time, that kind of stuff. And it's been like, you're almost like the Beneil Dariush, where it seems to be the thing, the secret weapon that everyone seems to pull out whenever you're in talks about it. He deserves it. Shavkat deserves it. He deserves to be third highest on this card as well. Yes, he is my pick, by the way, undefeated against Geoff Neal. But then again, it's fighting. Geoff Neal, his striking. Do you remember him finishing Vicente Luque?
Yeah.
Not so long back. Like, no one ever predicted that. It is possible, but I just think Shavkat's going to be way too much for him.
Yeah, I mean, Shavkat, I'm picking Shavkat as well. It's just the right choice, isn't it? Because Shavkat's bigger, stronger, faster, younger, a more technical fighter. I feel sorry for Geoff, but I just don't see him winning this one. And, this is great for Shavkat because he can really jump up that card. I'm excited to see what he can do next. And then we have Gamrot versus Jalin Turner, a replacement fight originally because we did have Dan Hooker in. Mark, before we get into the predictions, are you disappointed that Dan Hooker's not on the card?
Many people because he's actually back in the win column. But yes, I am very disappointed that I don't get to see him. What about yourself?
Yeah, I am disappointed because we're big fans of Dan Hooker here, and I think he actually got injured in training. Eugene was saying that his hand got caught up in his t-shirt or something as he was up against the cage, something like that. But it's a real shame he's not fighting. But you don't believe it. It is a shame he's not fighting, but this is a great opportunity for Jalin Turner. So, Mark, what's your prediction for this fight?
I think I'm going to go Gamrot in this fight. To take Beneil Dariush to decision, and he was in that fight all the way to the end. In his last one, it wasn't as if Dariush just ran through him. And yeah, I know that it's the late replacement, but still, to get used to a new fighter, especially someone of Gamrot's level, I think it's going to be a hard night at work for Jalin Turner. What about you?
Yeah, I'm going to pick Gamrot as well. I think he's just too experienced and he's just too skilled. I think he's too well-rounded, and I don't think Turner has much for him. But Turner is massive for this division, Matt. He's about 6'3". Do you think that's going to be difficult for Gamrot to kind of get through that reach?
Yeah, it can be difficult. I mean, it's been done many, many times. Look at DC as a heavyweight. He was always at a disadvantage there, wasn't he? Yeah. It depends because obviously Gamrot's got good wrestling, good ground game. I hope he can get it done anyway. Plus, I just don't like Turner for no apparent reason.
But
like you with Dustin Poirier. For some reason, you just don't like him.
Yeah, it's funny, isn't it, how that can happen? But I think with Gamrot, I think he's just too experienced for Turner, right? But it is a great opportunity for Turner if he can get the win here because it can really push him up those rankings. And that light heavyweight division is so exciting. And opening the card, we have Bo Nickal versus Jamie Pickett. Mark, what's your pick for this fight and why?
I was actually a little torn in this one because obviously Bo Nickal, he seems to be one of the hot new young things, the new project sort of thing. But then when you look up the stats of the last fight of Jamie Pickett, it's not the most impressive at all. I don't think he's had a finish in the UFC. They've all gone to decision and he's been finished as well himself. So he's yet to get a finish in the UFC. And it feels like maybe from a business perspective, if you want to call it that they're going to make Bo Nickal look as good as they can. He's on the main card, put it that way. And he came off the Contender Series. and he's on the main card of a Jon Jones card.
Yeah.
They want to put a rocket to this boy, don't they? I'm going to say Bo Nickal. I daren't say how he's going to get it done, but I think Bo Nickal's going to get his hand raised.
Because you're right, Jamie Pickett is not a high-level opponent. I think he's lost to like Jordan Wright, who's just been released, and he's lost to Cal Dorcas. He's not high level, and that's fair enough. I mean, I think when you've got someone in their debut in the UFC, they shouldn't be fighting high-level opponents. But I do feel like he's just going to run through Jamie Pickett. And yeah, I think you're right. They're going to strap a rocket to Bo Nickal. You know, he's coming off this contender series. He's on the main card of a Jon Jones fight, and with a relatively easy opponent. I'm excited to see what he can do next.
Well, that's the main card wrapped up, but don't forget on the prelims, we've got the returning Cody Garbrandt. Let's see if he can get back in the win column. We've also got Derek Brunson versus Dricus du Plessis. I wish I could say that right, but that is actually going to be something that's going to make me tune in. You've got Derek Brunson. I think this is either going to be his last fight or one of his very last fights. Obviously, du Plessis coming off a win off over Darren Till. So there is more than one reason just to check out this card. It's not just main event heavy like the last one.
I agree 100%. It's going to be a really fun prelims and main card, and I'm really looking forward to it. Thank you for watching. If you can like, comment, subscribe, it really does help us out.